Let's get going. So, for everybody who doesn't know me, I am Kate, founder of KW Marketing, and we are on a mission to become the UK's #1 food and drink digital agency. We support ambitious brands just like yours to grow quickly, authentically, and most importantly, profitably. Now, we live and breathe this industry. Food and drink is our bag. We are massive foodies. And our strategies, especially when they're data led, which I'm going to go on to in more detail later, are proven to boost sales and build a loyal customer base. So if email should be doing more for your business, then you are absolutely in the right place today. I know how overwhelming it can feel when you are thinking about what emails to send. Should they be reactive? Should I be adding a discount? What should those results look like? And that is exactly why we're here today, to cut through that noise and focus on what actually drives results in 2026. So we're going to get going because I've got lots of different points to go through. Like I say, any questions, drop them in the chat and we can cover them at the end. So I want to get a feel for the room and see where everybody is with their email marketing right now. So hands up if you feel like you've totally nailed your email, it's working, it's bringing in sales, and you are really proud of it. Just put a yes in the chat if that's you. Oh, everyone's very quiet. Okay, so somewhere in the middle. Is it working for you? You're doing it slightly, you're not really sure. Are you doing it as well as you could be, or if you're getting the most from it? So that's the middle ground. And then finally, who's winging it and who's not doing email at all? Is there anybody in the room that I've got that isn't doing email marketing? Winging it. Love to hear it. It's getting there, but it needs to be better, more strategic and data driven. We're doing it, but feel we could be doing better, doing some, but it needs to be doing better. Okay, amazing. So it's just a really good help for me to see where we are in the room and how today is hopefully going to help you. So you'll have some quick wins to take back. You'll have some smart sort of email tricks that you can use, but it's all about making it work harder for your brand. Now, this is one of the biggest misconceptions I see right now, especially as we go into a new year. Email is not broken, it is not dying, and it's definitely not underperforming. What is broken is how brands are using it, and I see it so often. Email is being run reactively, it's sent when there's a gap in campaigns, when sales dip, or, oh, we should probably send an email because we haven't sent one for a while. So when it's treated like a last minute lever, it can't do what it's actually capable of doing. And that's so important. Now, that's good news because it means it's a strategy problem and not a channel problem. And it means that we can fix it. Okay. So, this is what reactive email usually looks like. Emails go out last minute, they feel really sales heavy. Discounts do the heavy lifting because they feel like the quickest way to get a win. There's no real structure and it's a burst of activity when you feel the pressure. So whether you've got somebody breathing down your neck saying, we need to get more sales in the business, and then you send an email out. And the frustrating part is sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So those results aren't consistent. It just feels really, really random. So when email becomes something you react to and not something that you trust to reliably drive revenue into your business, this is where that confidence drops. And that's what hopefully today we're going to change. So the real cost of reactive email isn't just low open rates and click rates, which again, I'm sure some of you guys have seen before, but it shows up in places that hurt much more. And it's another layer deeper than that. Your margins shrink because discounts carry the revenue. Your trust erodes when every email feels promotional. Your energy drains as decisions are made under pressure and it becomes I've just got to send another email, and it becomes a chore. And then revenue swings instead of flowing consistently. And over time, email stops feeling like an asset and starts feeling like a burden. So this is the part that most brands underestimate. Growth doesn't always come from more traffic, more ads, or more email. I think we see it a lot in our industry. Let's turn on some ads, that's going to get us loads of traffic. but it comes from retention. So if you can increase your retention by just 5%, it can increase your profits by anywhere between 25 and 95%. And that's because repeat customers buy more often, spend more over time, and cost far less to convert because they've already converted once. And email is that channel that sits at the center of that. So it's not for shouting about discounts, but it's about building habits, trust, and timing. And if your email is mostly promos, you are leaving money on the table, and there is so much more that you could be doing with it. So this is probably one of the most important things I want you to take away with you today, okay? So I want you to go into your email platform, whether it's a Klaviyo, which is what we use, and I absolutely love it, whether it's a MailChimp, wherever you sit with your email database, I want you to go into that platform and I want you to look at what percentage of revenue has come from a returning customer and what is your repeat purchase rate. Now, those two things are really, really important. It's not what you think it is, it's not what you hope it is, but we need to look at what the data is actually telling us. If you don't have these numbers, you are guessing, and guessing becomes really, really expensive. So just from those two metrics, if you pull them and you look at them, it will tell you how hard your email should be working, where your profit is actually coming from, again, really important, and whether growth in 2026 comes from more traffic, which could be ads, or better retention. And I will say probably 90% of you will say it will come from better retention. So if you take one thing from today, take a screenshot of this slide. I will send them around at the end, but take a screenshot of it and make sure you are drilling into those 2 points because they are really, really important. Now, consumers want emails. It's still factual in our space. We've got the stats to prove it. We've got the data to prove it. They don't just tolerate them, they buy because of them. So 59% of consumers say email influences their purchasing decisions, but only 36% of brands treat email as a priority channel. And that gap between those two stats is where that revenue is leaking. Because while brands chase new platforms, we've all done it, whether it's a TikTok, whether it's a trial reel on Instagram, whether it's a new trend, customers still open emails in their inbox. And it isn't about sending more emails. It's about closing the gap between how people actually buy and how brands use email to get into their inbox. Because when you close that gap, email stops feeling like an effort and starts driving predictable sales for your business. So we've got lots of different businesses in the room today. We've got B2Bs, we've got D2Cs, but what should email be doing for my business? So again, I'm going to try and tailor this as much as I can to both sides of that fence. But this is why email matters more than ever. Email isn't just another channel. It is your biggest growth lever, especially going into 2026. And when it works properly, it supports predictable revenue, stronger customer relationships, which is so difficult in the digital space. So if you have a platform that you can really do that with, you need to be using it. And far less resilience on paid media and constant discounting. So again, if you think about that digital marketing funnel, people turn ads on at the top of that funnel to try and get more traffic into their business. If they're then not capturing and looking after that data at the bottom of the funnel, it then becomes leaky, and it means that you can't keep your customers in your business. So really, really important. And really, really, in terms of when you think about those channels in that digital mix, it's the only channel you actually own. No algorithm changes, no rising in cost per clicks, no platform plugging in terms of what goes into it. Email is set up strategically and it drives sales, and you own the data in it. It informs smarter decisions across your business. So again, what to promote, when you launch, who you focus on, what your audience is. But it only works if it's treated as a system and not a series of one-off sends. Again, I see this a lot when it's treated as a one-off send piece and actually it's not strategic in its delivery. So this is what email needs to become in 2026. Not a list that you blast, not a channel that you scramble to use when sales dip, but an engine. Now, I use the word engine all the time. I absolutely love it, but it needs to be one that runs in the background. Now, again, a lot of people in this room are short on time, short on team and time, two of those, the double T's. And it's really important that it's working hard when you are short on those two things. So there's three key things to focus on when you think about your email. Number one is your flows. So that is automation, email automation. So that's around if somebody signs up to our business or they go to our website, how can we capture their data? How can we keep them in the business? How can we keep them nurtured? And that's where we think about things like your welcome flows, your replenishment flows. So if things go out of stock, are we then going back to them and saying this is back in stock if they've shown an interest in that product? Post-purchase. So what happens to them once they've purchased once? Are we then re-incentivizing them to purchase multiple times over? And then a really important one is reactivation. When they lay dormant, so they might not have opened, they might not have clicked, they might not have engaged, what happens to them? Are we then reactivating them? So they run, automation and flows run, whether you're launching, you're busy, or you're offline. And that is exactly why it is so important. Now, the second piece to that engine is your campaigns. So this is probably what you guys are doing the most of. It's your newsletters. It's your getting in front of your audience and telling them all the great things that are going on. Now, these should be planned moments such as launches, seasonal pushes, key stories, business news, whatever that might be, but it's not for panic sends because revenue feels quiet. And then the third one, which is so underutilized, is segmentation. So this is how you stay relevant without sending more. And I was only on a call yesterday with a client around, and they sat in that B2B space, and they had a premium label bottle, and they were saying, well, how do we segment the database, Kate? What do we do with these people? So this could be as simple as creating a landing page on your website, having a different sign-up form, and then letting the customer input their data into that sign-up form and giving them a separate journey versus somebody who might visit the homepage. Again, how can you really use segmentation in your business? So again, I know Jill's on the webinar with us, but I always use popcorn as an example. So again, a different flavor of popcorn. If somebody's shown an interest in chocolate popcorn versus raspberry popcorn, could we then segment that journey? Could we upsell different products back to them? So there's lots you can do with segmentation. This is how you become hyper personalized. This is how you catch your customers at the right moments. And this is how you then get that engine to work. So you've got your automation at the top, your flows, you've got your campaigns and your newsletters, and then you've got your segmentation at the bottom. So when people say to me, Kate, what do high performing emails have in common? They think I'm going to come back with a magic trick and a one fix all job. And it's not a subject line hack. It's not a send time secret. It's not AI. And it's not about being louder. It's about being more intentional. And the brands that we see winning with email, especially going into 2026, have all dialed in on a few of these things. Okay. So again, flows, automated journeys should be driving between 30 and 50% of email revenue in your business in the background. So again, if I said to you, you could create another 30 to 40% of revenue in your business and not do a lot for it, you'd be like, yes, Kate, let's go and do it. Let's get it to happen. So that means every time you go to send a campaign that you aren't starting from zero every time because your automations are doing the hard work. From a campaign perspective, it's as easy as map out your year, get the dates in there, get the key seasonalities in there, and tie them back to your business goals, your launches, moments that matter, because that is where your campaigns sit really, really well. And that's where they do the job that they should do. Every send should have a clear job. Now, I've put this in here because I think it's so important, and I see this a lot. You don't send a campaign because you haven't sent one in a while. You send a campaign because this email exists to do one thing. If you have an event and you want to send people to one event to get them to sign up, that button all the way down that email should link to that one event, not multiple click-throughs. It should be all to that one event. Really, really important. So when you send fewer emails at better moments, so seasonality, timely, personal, all those things that we know, relevance beats frequency every single time. And that's when email starts working for the business and not the other way around, because there's a lot of, it takes a long time for me to do it. You know, it could take me 3 hours to put a campaign together. But if you're really strategic in how you're doing it, it can perform really, really well for your business. So this shift changes everything about how you approach email in 26, and owned data beats rented. Now, what do I mean by that? I mean exactly what we were talking about earlier. You could have 50,000 followers on TikTok, 100,000 followers on Instagram. You don't own them. You cannot market to those people consistently over time. If you use your email database, they're there. They're your customers. You own them, and you need to work them as hard as you possibly can. Because when budgets tighten, the channel that you own is the one that stays reliable. And that is a fact. So when things get tighter, the ones that you own are the ones that you can consistently go back to and use over and over again. So one of the biggest mindset shifts for 2026 is that growth doesn't come from more. And I think, you know, we've been through years of this. Be louder, send more, post more on social media. That's not how it's looking for this year. And it's all about timely, personal, right moments, right people, right segments. And when you do that and it's triggered by behavior and not guesswork or gut feel, it is super, super powerful. Now, I've just put a little screenshot in there. And again, anybody that's heard me talk before will have heard me say this multiple times over. But if you use a platform like Klaviyo, so you can see in Klaviyo something that's called predictive analytics. And it's really, really clever. If you're a D2C brand, you sell online, this is where predictive analytics can work really hard for you. You can see your total customer lifetime value. So how much is that customer going to purchase with you? What is the predicted date of their next order? Again, if you knew that, you could create some automation off the back of that and get in front of them. The average time between orders, is it 70 days? Is it 20 days? How likely are they to purchase with you? And then your average order value. Again, really important. Something that we see happens a lot is a client might turn ads on, for example, and we want to get their average order value up. But actually, if we're not using email to then counteract the ads, if they're not working in sync together, that average order value then becomes more difficult to increase. So if you are precise with your sends, it creates consistency, and consistency is what drives that growth. So revenue you can predict, and you know it's going to come into your business. So if you aren't on a platform like Klaviyo, if you are a D2C brand, make sure you go and check it out. It's super, super powerful. If you are in the likes of a MailChimp, it is still a powerful platform. It still helps you when you talk about revenue. It can show you what's coming into your business. But again, just make sure you're using the data at your fingertips to be precise. Take away from that volume piece and be more detailed and strategic with what you're sending. Now, this one's really, really simple. If you're not tracking email revenue weekly, you absolutely need to. So think about what's coming from flows versus what's coming from campaigns, because both of those are very different. Both of those will show you different metrics. And without that visibility, you are guessing. So again, if I flip this back into a B2B world, how many inquiries are you getting off sending one email? Are you feeding inquiries to your sales team? Again, how can that work? I know a lot of D2C businesses have that sort of wholesale arm as well. Again, you can absolutely use an email platform to do this hard work for you. It's just a bit more difficult to join up the data and join the dots up. But without the visibility, you are guessing, and guessing becomes really, really expensive. It goes back to that gut feel. I feel as though email isn't working. I feel like this channel isn't a growth lever for me in 2026. So I'm telling you, it is a growth lever if it's done properly, if it's done strategically, and if you really think about what you're sending and when you're sending it. So now I'm going to hand it over to you. Now, don't discuss this. Just think about your own business for a moment, okay? So I want you to do a quick, in your head, audit as I read these out loud. So what's actually working in email right now in your business? If you're doing it, I know a lot of you said you're starting at the beginning and winging it, but what is actually working? Is it your campaigns? Is it your flows? What does that really look like? And what does working mean? Remember, marketing and sales should have a really close synergy, and actually working means generating income into your business. So are you relying mostly on campaigns, or do you have flows in the background doing that heavy lifting? Again, have a think about that. If your flows are doing the heavy lifting, which ones are they? Are they your welcome flows? Are they your post-purchase flows? Are they your abandoned cart flows? And roughly, what percentage of your revenue into your business comes from email? Is it 20%? Is it 50%? What does that look like into your business? Really, really important. And then lastly, what is the real blocker for you right now? Is it time? Is it knowledge? Is it confidence? Or is it simply because you just don't know where to focus with your email? Now, don't answer them if you don't want to. If you want to put any questions in the chat for later on, please do. But it's more about awareness. And these questions are questions that actually later on today, this afternoon, tomorrow, go into your channels, into your email platforms, and just try and answer these questions because they are so, so important. So if email is undocumented, it's unstructured, and it's being asked to do too many jobs at once, then that's when it really, really doesn't work for your business. So if any of those felt uncomfortable, that is exactly why I want to show you this next example, okay? So this is a real life example of one of our clients. And when we started working with this client, email, it was there. They were doing a job, but it wasn't necessarily a clear job. Flows were live. They weren't necessarily optimized. Campaigns were going out maybe twice a month, a little bit inconsistent. And there wasn't a joined up conversion strategy. So the focus wasn't about sending more emails. It was about tightening the flow structure and making email work with paid ads as well. Okay, really important. Again, we see a lot of synergy between paid and email working really hard together. So when we did that and when we worked with them on it, it led to, especially in Q4, which is a massive season for them, 50% revenue growth, 46% growth from email alone as a channel, and a 10 times return on ad spend on Meta. Now, the biggest shift for them wasn't the campaigns, it was the follow-up. And what do I mean by that? I mean the flows that catch people who didn't convert the first time and how we can then nurture them over time via those platforms. So what it did for them is it created predictable demand. Now, I want to leave this slide with you. And again, I'll send all of this round at the end. But this is where most people overcomplicate things, okay? You don't need more emails. You don't need more flows. And you definitely don't need more noise. 2026 is so oversaturated with noise. But what I really want you to do after today is start by picking one flow to optimize before adding anything new. Let that do its job properly. So what do I mean by optimize? I mean, log into your platform, MailChimp, Klaviyo, whatever that is, look at open rates, click rates, unsubscribe rates, purchase rates, what is going on in that flow, and just really drill into how can you optimize it. If you've got an offer on, could you split test and have one without an offer? Could you change the offer that you're running? Could you change your subject line? Again, just really drill into how can I optimize this email campaign? The second point, I want you to reduce the campaign frequency and increase intent. So every send should have a reason to exist. It should be a really clear reason. It should be a really short, sharp click through for your customer. So increase that intent by looking at what they're doing. Get all of that data that you can into your email platforms and try and use that to your advantage. And then the third one, segment by behavior, not gut feel. What people do will always tell you more than what you assume. And I think that's a massive learner in our industry. Never assume what people are doing. Let the data tell you what they're doing. And finally, set one clear email goal for Q1. So again, if you're a gifting business and you rely heavily on Q4, Q1 to 3 for you are massive. They're times where you can be growing your database ready for a really big Q4. If you're not, and you're thinking about Mother's Day, Father's Day, whatever that is, again, Q1's a really good time to start building for that. If you're a B2B business, is it about the number of inquiries you're getting into your business? Is it about how many people are opening those campaigns? I want you to think about one clear email goal, whether that's revenue, whether that's AOV, whether that's how many inquiries you're getting. Just one, and set it and try and stick to it and monitor it over the next few weeks. So precision doesn't mean complex, it means deliberate. And that's when email is deliberate and it becomes predictable and it starts working. So here's what we've covered today. We've talked about why email still matters, especially when budgets are tighter, which they absolutely are this year, and growth needs to be predictable, absolutely key. We talk about sustainable growth a lot, really, really important. We've looked at what's actually changed in 2026 and why sending more isn't the answer. Email is not broken, for anybody that wants to question me on that, or we'll pick that up at the end. We've covered the mistakes that we see brands make again and again without realizing it. Again, I'm just going to send another campaign. It's going to get some more revenue in the door. And we've broken down what actually works when email is structured, intentional, and doing a really clear job. You've seen real life examples from real brands that we've worked with where just tightening that system, not increasing volume, really, really made a difference. Now, this isn't about vague ideas. It's not about shiny tactics. It's about turning it into a reliable growth channel. And if you were to say, Kate, I'm going to prioritize one channel in 2026, this is the channel that it needs to be. So with all of that in mind, I want to say that the next step for you guys, if it feels right, is our email growth accelerator. Now, I want to be really clear about who this is for and who it isn't for. Really, really important. If you are really happy winging your emails, sending campaigns last minute, and hoping it all clicks together in Q4, this isn't the right thing for you, okay? And I see that happen a lot. But if it's shown you today that email should be doing more and you don't want to be having the same conversation this time next year, this needs to be a really good next step for you. Our email growth accelerator is where we take everything that we've talked about today and we build it properly for you, okay? So it's a system that gives you confidence in what you send, when to send it, and why it works. Naturally, D2C is a lot easier because it's a lot more trackable. When you think about B2B, it's a bit more difficult because you have to join all those data dots together. Now, it's a small group of people that we're doing this growth accelerator for. We're capped on numbers. And I've just put a QR code there, which you can scan to join the waitlist, okay? Now, I've capped it on purpose purely because I'm sure you can tell how enthusiastic I am about email and the power of it. And I want to make sure that it's a really powerful accelerator and that results speak for itself. So scan the code if you want to join us. You will be the first people to hear about this growth accelerator when it goes live. It's due to go live in the next few weeks, and I would love it if you could join us. And especially if email is going to be a serious growth channel for you in 2026, please don't overthink it. Please don't stay stuck. And please just come and speak to me or drop me a DM wherever you are. But we're 2 minutes over, which means now is the time for any questions. Does anybody have any questions around anything that we've spoken about or I've brought to the table today? No? All good. I'll keep skipping so we're not going to go over time. Again, if you've got a question, just drop me an email. I will send the slides out so you've got them. And if you want to come back to me at a later date, please do. And I've got a screen up for our Fueling Foodies podcast. Now, I'm really, really proud of this podcast because it really breaks down digital marketing as a whole. We talk about all the new trends that come out. We talk about all the new buzzwords. We have real founder stories on there where they talk about their trials, their challenges. And again, there's a few people in the room that have been on our podcast again. So Ria from Barboy, we had Barboy on our podcast, and we've got some really exciting stories coming up for 2026. But the whole point of the Food Marketing Podcast is to sort of break down we're all in this together. We're all going through this together, and we're all using these channels in a very similar way. And how can we learn from each other? So go and check out our podcast, go and listen to it. It's got lots of insights like this, lots of training on there, and lots of things that you can pick up. But that leaves me to say thank you so much for joining me. I really, really hope it's helpful. I hope you've picked up lots of different tips and lots to take into 2026. And again, any questions, please just reach out to me. But thank you so, so much.